Okay, hello, Kelsey. Welcome to your testimonial.
Hello.
I find myself really privileged to be able to witness this moment because, like I said before, there's a sharing a testimonial is so much purpose, right? Where we can find so much possibilities in the present, and then when we see it again in the future, we can repurpose to find more possibilities. So I'm gonna kind of interview you,
Perfect.
right? And we just can follow up on the conversation for that. Okay. First of all, I just
Sounds
want to
good.
acknowledge that it's been a real privilege to work with you and to witness your transformation. It's been a real honor to serve you to the best of my ability so that you can express and expand to the best of your capacity. I really, I feel really privileged. I know I said it already, but I just want to say it again and really, it's been fantastic working with you so far.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And for you too, because you share so much about how you're transforming at the same time. And you share so many like personal stories, and it feels like it's not just this coach-coachee relationship. It's like we're all in a group doing this whole thing together. So it's really nice to just have that example while we're going through, different tools and stuff. You're using them as well. So it's really nice to just be led by someone who's embodying it as well.
Thank you. Okay. So, first of all, in this almost 4 months that we've been working together, what would you say has influenced or helped you the most in your transformation?
I think like three different things come to mind. First of all, the heart breathing has been a big one for me. Um, just makes me feel so good. And it's a nice reminder in every moment of every day. Like I have access to that. I'm still not doing it like 100% of the time. It's hard to just like fully ingrain that, but I will get there. Um, but I find myself in moments through the day, like remembering, like, oh, breathe with your heart. And whether it's just a normal moment where I'm not stressed out, or if it is a moment where I'm like, yeah, I could use some help right now, it's just really nice to have that tool to, get my heart and my brain on the same level because so many things in life can completely stretch those apart. So that's been really nice to feel centered and connected to like what I actually want to need in every moment. Um, Next, I would say the inner ease, and not even so much just the inner ease, but like the ability to call on an emotion that I want to feel, whether it be ease, whether it be peace, whether it be love, whatever, and understand how to sustain it for a longer period of time. That's something I had no clue was even possible. Um, so that's been really cool. And I think that leads me into my third hugest takeaway is just like the understanding and the embodied lesson of the order in which things go in our body. So it starts with your emotions and how you feel in your body, which then impacts your nervous system, which then impacts your mind. I was previously leading my life so much from the mind impacts everything else. And obviously, we've talked extensively about how that is not energy efficient. Um, and now doing the opposite, starting with being in the emotion that I want and having that trickle down effect, I now know it is much more energy efficient and also so much easier. And you don't feel like you have to have such a grasp and control on it, which is really nice. So I think those three absolutely have been the largest takeaways for me. And also just like such a perspective shift on kind of everything in terms of personal development. I know I've said this like 17 times in our work together, but it's just so nice to have landed somewhere with the whole world how it is around personal development and self-improvement and how much time and energy and money and strategy can go into it. To have landed with you and now fully understand that a lot of that isn't what does it, right? It's actually all things that I can do with my breath, with literally a pen and paper, and that's pretty much it. And my feelings and being able to feel them. So that has felt really nice, not only for like reflecting on the past and all of the things I tried and have felt not enough to get to this point, and then also be looking into the future, knowing like, oh my gosh, I'm going to save so much time by not trying all these different things. Like I've found what works deep down. That's like a very, very comforting feeling to me. So thank you.
I remember you're greatly welcome. It's been a true pleasure. And I remember when we first started working together, and I was explaining to you the order of how it passes, and how
Yeah.
when you get to it, it's going to be just a feeling of flow, right? And you were like, yeah, but how? You
Yeah.
were like, yeah, I don't get it. Like you were so much in your mind about
I'm
like
in the
the order of
science.
things. Like you were
I
in so
want to
much
know
like
why.
you wanted to know why and how and everything. It was like it must have been a big, I want to acknowledge that it must have been a big stretch to trust, taking that leap to something that a lot of people interpret as not possible, as, oh, you have to go to the Tibet and spend 1 year there with Tibetan monks to do what you're talking about. And
Yeah.
even then, it sounds like impossible. And and I know that that was maybe not in those words, but that was probably what was going on within you before
I've
you
been
took the
very
stretch.
skeptical, of course. Yeah, it's been a challenge to overcome just my natural skepticism around spirituality as a whole and these different practices that are more on the spiritual side of things. That's something that I've never accepted, really. So it's been really interesting to kind of let my guard down and try not to judge these things and actually just try them, um, and just see what works for me, you know?
And you found out that they do work.
Yeah.
So would you say that which I promised you you could get to that actually did happen? That
Yeah.
what you were skeptical about?
Yeah. I
How would
want
you
it to keep
describe it?
happening. It's that
Uh,
little
uh,
thing. I want it to keep happening, to keep proving it to me because
how
I
would you describe it?
I would say that it's a good question. It's a big question. Just in terms of like the whole world of manifestation, there's just so much that I can't see and grab, and that is hard for me because I'm someone who learns by watching someone do something that I can then replicate and I can like cognitively understand it. And I've really just had to trust you. And that's why I think you telling so many personal stories about yourself and how these tools and these lessons that you teach have come into play in your life and have been examples to just really ring these lessons true. So I think that has really helped. Um, I think also just these moments of proof, I need to like just write them down to remember them. We weren't recording, but at the beginning when we were chatting about something that we had just talked about that kind of wasn't even in my realm of possibilities, then two things in the following 2 weeks kind of just like fell into my lap that were so unexpected and in alignment. That's another example of like, okay, this does seem like it's working, even though it's like so against like my whole like model of reality before working with you.
It's a different paradigm.
Yeah. Which and paradigms, like I didn't even, do you know what I mean? It's just all of this language and all of these things that I wouldn't say even is familiar to me now. Again, I'm just like really open and trusting you and trusting this process because it's working so far. And so I'm continuously just open to being surprised, happily surprised.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you were to tell a small story about a before and after, so where were you before we started working? What were you seeking, right? What was your desire, your vision of what you wanted to accomplish working together, right? And where do you feel you're now in reference to that?
So I was dealing with consistently feeling like quite like anxious while shut down at the same time, walking on eggshells, couldn't really make a strong decision for myself because I felt just like so unsure of what was going on and what I should do. And that was showing up in my business, especially in my romantic relationship, especially. And I think in family relationships, like it all kind of made me feel like I was just like sinking back, like I couldn't fully participate in all of these like really important pieces of my life. Um, and it's so interesting also working with you because we talked about a lot of this in our discovery session together. And then we didn't talk about it for like months. And that was surprising to me because what do you always do is you talk about it, right? Like when
That's what
you're,
you're
oh,
supposed to do.
turns out you don't need to. And it goes way better if you don't talk about it and you just change in other ways. And so, yeah, obviously all of these different tools and ways of being and the practices that you've given us um, have really impacted my ability to just fully participate in these different areas of my life, and then especially going back and transforming the core wound. I used to have this like shut down feeling, like almost indescribable in my body where I would freeze up, my stomach would drop, and then I like couldn't talk. And now I'm finding myself in my day-to-day life able to be aware of when that would have happened and feeling nothing, like complete calm. I don't feel like the opposite, but I'm just able to be like, okay, this is where that would have happened. And it gives me the space to make more of an informed decision from a calm place rather than kind of malfunctioning, for lack of a better term. So that's been indescribably different
That's
and
beautiful.
has, yeah, opened me up to a lot of different things that I just, because of that previous response, was just unable to do.
That is fantastic. And I remember also one of the things when we did the discovery and the clarity session before we began, there was this inner dialogue, right? That was like very recurrent in your life.
I literally need you to tell me because I don't fully remember. Like
Do
I want to read, I want to read what I initially sent you because it's interesting that
you want me to open it up? Yeah.
I can't fully remember it, you
Let me
know?
open it here. I have it here. Oh, you sent it to me by email, right?
I don't remember. Even just send it to me after just to
Okay.
reflect on. But
Yes, of
yeah,
course,
I
of course.
remember some sort of like, yeah, repeating inner dialogue.
There was some sort of repeating inner dialogue having to do with this, with you freezing up,
Hmm.
and for with you not feeling capable with your clients, like not feeling.
Oh, yes, that's a big thing too. Because,
Mhm.
like, as someone who guides and helps other people transform, I was having this, like, well, I'm stuck and I can't figure this shit out for myself. So, who am I to guide other people through these things that are, like, sometimes pretty similar to what I'm dealing with? And in a lot of ways, I could and I did help people. But then I just, yeah, I sort of got into this, like, feeling smaller and lower and smaller and lower in my capabilities to the point where I like wasn't working and would be distracting myself with other things. And yeah, it was like really terrible because it impacted my business and my finances and my ability to, contribute to me and my partner's life. So that was very, very impactful.
And what happened? That was the before. And what is it now about that? How is that working?
Well, I think like I guess the work that we've done together allowed me to kind of take a breath um that I really, really needed to take and a pause that I really, really needed to take. Um, because I was just like trying to drive full speed ahead with an empty gas tank. And you've taught me that well, I think I was figuring out that that wasn't going to be sustainable pretty quickly. But just the whole concept of the battery and everyone's inner battery rings so true to me. And I see it in my life and literally every life that I interact with, the energy capacity, I think you call it.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm glad that we went through that lesson so early in our work together because it showed me that I was so low and that I needed to take a break. And I think it gave me kind of permission to take a break from working with clients. Um, and I ended up finding a great job that's been able to give me space and allowed me to really slow down and be more intentional with the practices that we've been doing together and has given me a lot of time to think about, okay, I ran my business this way for the first 3 years. That kind of didn't go great at the end. How can I strategically, how do I actually want to lead this business and how do I actually want to work with clients and help them?
And I
Um,
remember that recently you had new clients, right? Did you
yes,
start
it was
working with them?
interesting because it was when I finally decided to get different employment that like same week I had two past clients reach out wanting to buy packages with me. So it was actually very confusing at the time, if I'm being honest with you. Because I was like, well, I just made this decision and now these two other people just came out of nowhere. But it's been interesting to do both because I said yes to them and they bought packages. And so I'm working full time and then I'm also hosting sessions on lunch breaks or before or after work. And it's first of all showing me that I have huge capacity because I didn't think I had the energy to do that. And it's also kind of just opening up possibilities for what I do after. Do I want to do two forms of work to keep it different and interesting? Do I want to do that just for a specific amount of time until, whatever, right? Like I don't know what's going to happen, but it has shown me that I can do a lot more at the same time, like than I thought I ever could, which has been really cool.
Fantastic. Yeah, I do sense a lot of more inner certainty in
Yes.
that aspect right now.
Yeah.
Well, in a lot of aspects of your life as well, too,
Aspects, yeah.
especially in your relationships, I'd
Yeah.
say, with
Yeah.
family and your loved one relationship. So
Yeah.
it's really been a privilege to be able to witness your transformation. Is there anything else that you feel is important to add to your before and after?
Um, Good question.
You were going to see this, let's say, for some reason, purpose, or whatever, 5 years from now, you are going to see this video again. What would you like to
Mhm.
tell to yourself then?
Are you doing all of the practices that Alan told you to do? Because if not, you should start them again because they do work.
Fantastic.
Get
Excellent.
back on it, rewatch the videos. 'Cause it's
Excellent.
fantastic reminders and really, really good lessons.
That's beautiful. And the last question, and this is like we said, this goes in two directions, right? An awareness of where you've been, right? And an awareness of who you can serve as well. in this sense, right? So if you were to recommend this transformational path to anyone or to someone, who would that be and why would you recommend it to them?
Yeah, it's hard not to just defer to say literally anyone, because being through it and understanding the practices and how they interact with human beings, it can and would help literally anyone who tried it and was open to it. But I think, speaking from my personal experience, anyone who has been through some hard things, and as much as they think they have gotten over all of those hard things, are having circumstances showing up in their life that are continuously hindering them and holding them back, despite how hard they try and how many different things they try to do to make it better. I think the realization that literally every single person has some meaning or story or trauma or something, like, it is probably 99% of us who haven't like done this work have these core wounds and these stories replaying in our lives that are impacting whether or not they get to what they actually want to experience. And I feel like I've jumped kind of all over the place,
No,
but
beautiful. It's great.
more people than not, that's for sure. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kelsey. This is a beautiful testimonial. And
Thank you.
I want to ask you, do you feel like sharing it? Should we post it in my YouTube channel?
You can post it on your YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And possibly in my website. Those
Yeah.
will be the two places. Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome. We even
And
got the
I
guest
I
appearance.
I'm really, really excited and I really can't wait. I find a lot of anticipation, like in a good way,
Hmm.
mhm, to see where we're going to end up in the next 3 months, 2 to 3
Me
months,
too. I'm very
because now
excited.
comes the integration, right? And that's when you get to use all of these tools, but now instead of only for transformation, to start to create this
Hmm.
life that you truly love, right? And now I like I remember when we first met, there was this vision of you being able to teach all of this also. Mhm.
Hmm.
So, and I am so happy that it's you that's going to be teaching it, right?
Thank
If you so decide to do so, right?
you.
But I also see so many other areas of your lives opening up and options that you probably didn't see before. That now you're starting to like, oh, so this is possible, and this is going this way,
A
and
lot
this is
of
going that way.
curiosity.
A lot of curiosity. So yeah, I can't wait to be a witness of what you're going to
Me
create.
too. Me too.
Thank you so very much, Kelsey.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Likewise.